It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Gents and ladies, no time to waste. Don't be afraid, it's time to trade. Let's start your brains like high-speed trains. Storm these games like hurricanes. It's time to save this herd that stays. Put on your cape and learn the phrase. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Whew! Today's video is going to be a little bit longer than I originally anticipated, but stick with me. Hopefully there's some decent content there. Leave me some comments in the comments section if you have any opinions on maybe, something you'd rather me do differently. Keep in mind that us YouTubers make our channels entirely for you guys. So if there's something you would like, me to make a video on, a topic, or if you're enjoying the content, just let me know. This is TA with MK. My name is McKay. Let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go. We'll start out with the rusty trusty Bitcoin daily chart. It's usually how I begin my day. Now keep in mind it is the weekend, and so it is a little boring. The institutions aren't trading. The traditional stock market's closed. So if you're new to crypto, just know that going forward, that weekends tend to be a little bit sideways, boring, scammy price action. So sometimes you'll get big wicks to the up or downside, and they'll end up being fake outs, or you just get nothing, and Bitcoin just hangs out like it's on a picnic in Maui or something, doing little. But the one new development I would say is that we have a potential ascending triangle forming. Ascending triangles are just a pattern that usually are happening below major resistance, which in this case is indicated by my red box. And what an ascending triangle essentially is it's getting rejected at the same resistance level, but as it retraces, it puts in a series of higher lows. So like we have this low here, higher low here. This recent pullback that we're experiencing could potentially be putting in another higher low. So we have this trend line that we're watching, and so this is the ascending triangle. Now, patterns like triangles tend to break out within about 70 to 75% full. So if this is the full pattern, we're looking at around this point to be the 70 to 75% full area. So what we look for from a bullish standpoint is if we could push up at this point back up to the 46 to 46.5 range, this time we need to break it. This will be the fourth time, 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess the fifth time really, that it'll have interacted with this red box. So for this to be bullish, we need this to finally break and then retest and flip this area as support. Because if it does it, the likelihood of this rolling over goes up, because typically once a pattern gets between 70 and 75% full, and especially if it gets all the way to the end, which we call the apex, it's going to do something. And if it hasn't already broken to the upside by around 75%, then from a statistical standpoint, the odds of it breaking down are higher. So that's just something that we're watching over the weekend and to start this next week. Now I quickly want to head over to the Bitcoin 4-hour chart. This is just something that I had posted in a Telegram trading group that I'm a part of last night that I noticed was developing. Now, if you don't know what bullish or bearish divergence is, I'll put out a video soon that explains these and how you can use them to give you an edge in trading. But basically what this is this is class B, or what they call a hidden bullish divergence that was developing last night. It's just where the RSI down here put in this low and a lower low, but price action had put in a low and was confirming a higher low. So this is bullish, hidden bullish divergence. So as I go over my two coins that I'm tracking and that I put some entries in on last night, and I'm going to show you kind of how I DCA into them. I just wanted to first point out that this right here was a big reason why I did enter the two coins last night, small positions. And so let's move on to that. Now, as we dive into the first coin, I guess a little disclaimer I want to point out. There's two things that I'm gonna mention. Number one, this first coin especially is a smaller cap coin. It's only 116 million market cap, which from a market cap standpoint is very, very, very tiny. So not financial advice, but I want you to kind of see my DCA strategy. But I would prefer that at least for these first few videos, as I demonstrate my DCA strategy, that you don't follow me. I prefer you don't. Obviously, if I lose money doing this, that's fine. I'm going to show you, and we can all learn from it, and so on and so forth. But especially with the small cap coins, whenever I bring them up, I hate the idea that somebody would just ape into it and then, lose money or market buy, which is something else I need to go over in a future video, is what kind of effect a market buy of a large quantity can have on a small cap coin. But anyway, just a disclaimer that the way that I'm going to DCA into these and demonstrate DCAing into these two coins is going to almost be showing you the levels I'm looking for and then mentioning after the fact, you know, where I entered. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but the idea is that at least until I get a little more established as an analyst or someone, you know, an influencer, I suppose, on YouTube, I just don't want to do call-outs because I don't know my audience yet. I don't have a feel for how experienced anybody is. Over time, I will, and then, you know, we'll get a Discord group going where we could do it there. But from just a YouTube standpoint, I've always felt it's a little irresponsible for people on YouTube to just say, I bought here, buy here, you should, you know, kind of thing. So I just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there. So let's go forward. So I've quickly went ahead and added this yellow box here of what it looks like potential support at the moment. But what this is for me is anytime I put green boxes, I just consider those some of the better buying areas and maybe stronger support. When I'm using a yellow box, to me, that's my higher risk entry area. And then when I do red boxes, that would just be like upper resistance that I want to see it break to become, you know, more bullish or, you know, expect more upward price action. So like this one, for example, that I'm adding right now, I'm going to turn red. This would be an area that I'd be looking for if it were to break and flip a support, you know, that I would expect more upside. Actually, it'd be more like right here. Yep, that zone. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. So this area right here, so the way that I DCA into a coin, and I actually saw somebody in the Discord that I gave a shout out to the other day, the AR Collective Discord, which I know a lot of my subscribers are a part of anyway, so you'll know what I'm talking about. I can't remember which analyst it was, so I will have to look that up and I guess give him a shout out later, but he uses the same exact percentages that I do. I haven't watched any of his videos or anything, or his whatever, I don't know if he does videos, but I haven't read any of his coins he's, you know, shouted out yet to know if how he exactly, what levels he does or how he does it. I just know he uses the same percentages I use. He does 15% and then 35% and then 50%. And that's the same that I've been using for some time. So, and the way that I do that, and the way that I am going to do it with KLV, and I'll keep, you know, posted as we go, is my first entry level is usually aggressive. I only use 15% for that reason. Now, for me, when you're inside a big falling wedge like we are here, a lot of times if you look at the indicators, which we'll look right here, a lot of times you'll have divergence, which we did here, right? I just want to indicate that I was tracking this divergence where this right here put in a low and a lower low, but then the RSI put in a low and a higher low. So that's class A or bullish divergence. A lot of times that's what I first look for a coin to potentially have put in its final low in a wedge. Doesn't mean it will be, but it's just the first thing that I look for. And then from that point, we'll double click and get rid of the indicator again. Then what I'm looking for is hopefully for it to head up and break out. But in this case, it got rejected. But now I'm looking at this zone where you had this low right before what I think will be the final low. And so this low I use to create my aggressive entry zone, which we're in right now. So let me pull up my notebook real quick from last night. In fact, I probably can even pull up the clip of where I made my first purchase last night. But over here on a notepad, at 0.02168, I put $15 in. So that's my first purchase on KLV, but it was 0.02168. Okay, so we need to mark that on here, 0.02168. So that's where I put in 0.02168. I can't get my mouse on there. All right, don't want to spend all day trying to drag that to 0.02168. So we got it at 0.02170. I made it a dark green color just to kind of remind myself for the future videos or, you know, tomorrow's video of just where I purchased that, right? And I'm also keeping track of it on a whiteboard over here and also on a notepad or a note, whatever it's called, notes on your computer. So I want to tell you the other reason besides just my aggressive entry I did within the, you know, with the bullish divergence and this aggressive zone. The other reason why I entered last night was on the 1 hour, I had an alert set for when this retested the 200 moving average. You'll notice as I go on in future videos that I'm really big on the 200 moving average on the 1 and 4 hour charts. So I had an alert set when this came back down, because this KLV is one I've been tracking for a minute just because of its news. Well, it had broken up and was testing the top of this wedge, which set off one of my alerts the other day. But I wasn't going to enter unless I saw at least a few, 4-hour candles close above that trend line. Less likely to be a fake out in that case. So I didn't enter, but I had an alert go off there. Well, when it did this little, pullback and then it scammy wick back above it, set off my alert a second time. I kept monitoring it. But at that point, when I seen it start retracing, I set an alert on the 200 moving average, which is this yellow line right here. This is the moving average. So when it triggered right here last night, that was when I hopped on my computer and made the purchase. Now, obviously the lowest it went was down here to about 21.27. That would have been, you know, I guess my perfect entry. I didn't get the perfect entry, and you'll learn going forward in crypto that you're rare to get the perfect entry. You could usually never know the bottom or the top. But anyway, so that's where I came up with my entry ideas. Between the yellow box of aggressive entry to do with the bigger falling wedge and the divergence, I also had an alert go off when this 200 moving average on the 1 hour went off. So that was the first 15% of what I plan to allocate to KLV at the moment. I also want to point out that when I do my entries of 15, 35, and 50, I have an idea ahead of time of where I'd like those entry levels to be, but it's not a black and white thing. It's ever evolving and can change. And I just want to say one thing before we move on to the next coin, was that right now, if this was to pump, you know, say between now and when I make my video tomorrow up here to just under 25, 0.25, that'd be about 12 to 13% gain. I have an alert set there. I plan to sell the entire 15% at that point and then look to re-enter and start over. So basically, if I don't get the pullbacks to the other areas, like I have, my idea currently is to add 35 at the top of this green box, and then the 50 at the bottom, or the bottom of the green box. But, you know, I may not get those entry levels. And so I want to be able to take advantage of the 15% that I do currently have, take profits, and then look to re-enter. So just keep that in mind. Video went a lot longer than I planned. I realize as I'm giving my explanation that I'm obviously a little long-winded. Also, I kind of feel like I need to explain. So I'll just have to plan these a little better going forward. But for now, on the second coin, I'm just going to let you kind of take a screenshot of my current plan. And then tomorrow, I'll update you on how that's going and my plan A, plan B. Because I always have a plan A's and plan B's. And then, you know, Bitcoin will determine if I have a plan C or a plan D. But for the time being, just this is my current plan. I entered last night on Rune 15% at 5012, which as of right now is obviously not good. But let's see, 5012, we probably better put our little mark on there. But right now we're down about 5%. So, yeah. But we'll keep you updated tomorrow on that. And you made it. Okay. Well, if you're liking the content, please remember to like and subscribe. My name is McKay. This was TA with MK. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a good weekend. It's TA